Recording in progress. All right, let me start.
Get the show on the road. What's up, guys? We're back with another episode of the Talking Wiffleball podcast. We got Commissioner Cale again, and first-time guest Colton Carlson, who still can't connect the audio. Oh, there he is.
There you go.
Colton, welcome to the podcast.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, a lot has happened since we last did a podcast. We've had.
Hold on. What is that background noise?
TV's on. Hold on.
So unprofessional, Brodey.
Shut up. This is the poverty podcast, okay?
Nice blanket too. Getting nice and
Thank
cozy
you.
in that.
Dude, it's cold. I'm at my girlfriend's house right now.
Okay.
Little improvised podcast setup. But yeah, it's cold as balls in here. All right. Well, Colton, since you're here, why don't you just give us your general thoughts on your season?
Better than I could ever expect, honestly. 4-4, perfect. 500, couldn't be happier.
Been an interesting season, starting 0-4 and then going 4 straight wins. Well, what changed?
I started to pitch, like consistently pitch good. I don't know. I think the beating the wrecking crew probably helped the winning culture, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I definitely think that was the turning point in your guys' season for sure. And then after that, you went on, you beat the Sasquatches twice, and then you beat a half-baked Express team.
Yeah.
So I guess my next question is if you make the playoffs, what are your hopes to get past the Lynx and the Bambinos? Both teams you've lost to already.
Yeah. Hope one of them has an off day. That's the only hope there. It's the only way I see
the big ask.
Yeah.
A really, really tough ask.
Especially the way Eric and Tegan are pitching right now. It's a real big ask.
Hey, you guys better bring the bats.
Probably won't. Both Nick and Steven will be gone during the playoffs.
Oh, right. You told me that. That's pretty unfortunate for you guys.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I will
say. But Colton leads the team with a 325 average.
I do.
So you're just going to get more at bats.
Fair enough.
And Evan Peters has only 5 hits because he only played in 2 games, the last 2, because he was a midseason signee. But he's hitting
savage.
He's hitting 417.
Fuck yeah, he is.
On 30 plate appearances.
It's my cousin.
You're so welcome, hey, this might be a good thing. This might be a good thing.
Maybe.
Well, we'll see how when Evan has played in. Hold on. So Evan's played against the Sasquatches. That's it. Evan has played against the Sasquatches. So
yes,
both
only team he's played against.
Yeah, both games.
He was there for the Wrecking Crew game. I just didn't let him hit.
He didn't hit. So he's hit against the Sasquatches twice. So his numbers are a little inflated.
Yeah. Colton's are legit though. He's played in all 8 games. 94 at bats, 13 hits, 94 plate appearances, 40 at bats, 13 hits, 325.
So cold in here. Okay, so
I want to point something out real fast, Brodey. What? I want to point something out, and that is that you have I'm sure a lot of people saw this graphic, the Seattle Sasquatches, who went 1-7 this season, 1-7. And they had a team batting average of 286, which was 3rd best, at least right now, is 3rd best in the league. On-base percentage of 709, 3rd best in the league. Slugging, 592, 5th best in the league. So the top 5 in like all those batting categories. But their pitching was dead last. Horrendous, obviously. Then you look at a team like the Lawmen, who their batting average is 280. Okay, so it's 6 points less, but basically the same as the Sasquatches. But because Colton is a competent, mediocre pitcher whose ERA is a 19.29 and league average ERA is a 19.27. So he's 2 points very like a sliver below average, and the Lawmen are 4-4. So that is the difference.
That's crazy.
That is the difference between having absolute horrible pitching and just mediocre average pitching is 1-7, 4-4.
You know, I mean, I saw that coming, to be honest. When you called Joey Hayes an ace and signed him as your main pitcher, that's what happens. You go 1-7. So
to be fair, I think Joey would have had a much he would have improved over the season, but the kid is obviously just a quitter. So there's that.
He was playing in one game, got his ass beat, and left the league.
Is that
Colton's not a quitter, so
I'll stick with it.
Colton has persevered. Yeah, it's very funny how they have such a good offense and give up 40 runs every game. It's fun to watch. I like watching their games, to be honest, because it always ends in like a 45 to like 39 score or something, and it's just like it's like intense for the wrong reasons. It's like, all right, how many walks is we gonna have this inning? It's fun to watch. Like the game that you guys played against them, Colton, the first time was like my favorite game of the year. Just sitting there watching everybody walk each other back and forth. Well, and then like what? Yeah, well, it was like you finally caught yourself and you're like, okay, I need to give the ball to Nick, and then Nick cruised for like 2 to 3 innings, and then Nick started walking people with Ethan. Dude, I was just like, what? I was like, I have no idea who's gonna win this game, but yeah. Anyways,
quality entertainment.
Here's the funny thing. One more word on the Sasquatches. Here's the funny thing. The way the all-star team works, right? You have your starting pitcher, you have 2 starting batters, you have a starting fielder, and then you have 2 more bench players. The 1-7 Sasquatches will probably, well, I don't know about probably, because 1-7 is just so bad, but they have a very good chance to have 2 all-stars on the American Conference All-Star team, because you have AJ, who hit 340 this season with 3 homers, 57 RBIs. In fact, everybody on the Sasquatches had 50 plus RBIs. You also had Colby Mazza hit 250.
That's what I'm saying, dude. All their games end with 45 run scores.
And then also Colby Mazza, if you look at the at fielding stats right now, he's
crazy.
He's crazy. Got 22 fielding outs plus stops, 9 fielding outs, 13 stops, and a 79% fielding. He's, as of right this second, maybe the odds-on favorite to win fielding crown, which would obviously mean he's the American Conference starting fielder. So you could have 2 Sasquatch all-stars.
Ethan got screwed out of his own award because he had to start pitching. Like that poor soul. It was his one claim to fame, and now he has to be their pitcher.
It's just wild because you could have 2 Sasquatch all-stars at a 1-7 record, and then you could have the Lynx take first and only have Tegan be an all-star.
Okay, well, I have another question now. Does Colby Mazza leave in the offseason? I guess now that he can still leave.
Yeah, I mean, he would just
resign
as GM, and then tell AJ, I'm
leaving.
I mean, he's under contract, so he'd have to be traded.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure he's not a free agent.
I thought that hot take post about him leaving meant he was going to be a free agent.
Well, he can force his way out if he wants to. Actually, he is a free agent. He's a
free agent.
So he can just leave with no. I don't know. What would you set the odds at that he's on a different team next season?
I mean,
the way Gage is talking pretty high.
You obviously know a lot more about him than I do. Like, I don't really know the guy. So
here's what I would say. I would put it about 50-50, because the thing about Colby is losing doesn't, not that he's not competitive, but the losing doesn't seem to like upset him or make him not want to play the same way other people. He still shows up for every single game. He's still having a good time. He wants to win, but it's not like he's gonna quit the league if he has to stay on a bad team.
I don't know. I mean, what I've been hearing from Gage, he told me he's gonna sign somebody from the AC, and I'm trying to think of.
I think he was talking about Teagan, which if Teagan wins 2 MVPs in a row, I have a hard time believing he would just
guest appearance. But yeah, that doesn't. I mean, that makes 0 sense.
Yeah, if the Leafs flame out in the first game of their playoffs game and if Teagan has no batting help, then maybe he might be like.
I mean, I guess Teagan really doesn't want to pitch. Wasn't that the whole point of teaming up with Matt, was so he didn't have to pitch anymore?
I feel like, probably that's one of those things you always hear from people, and it sounds good when they say it, but then when they get out there, they like pitching, they enjoy the success. Like, he's in the MVP running again because he's pitching. Like, you tell me he would rather take that all, like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. I mean, I feel that same way. I don't like not pitching. But,
yeah, with the amount of arguments you and Reed have. Yeah.
Oh, dude. Fuck Reed.
You're not going to bring it up, so I'll bring it up. Brodey, why don't we hear a little bit from you about what happened to the Waves down the stretch of the season?
Dude, that was like a nightmare of all nightmares. That could not have gone any worse than it did. So just sort of that. Anyways, I don't know. We went into that day and my arm felt like absolute shit. We threw the day before, me and Reed, and my arm felt great. And then I woke up, I was like, I should not have thrown a wiffle ball yesterday. And so I told Reed, I was like, dude, my arm is cooked. You got to throw. And then I was like, I got faith that we could beat the Cobras at least with you just throwing strikes. And he's like, oh yeah, I can do that. Because like, I mean, Reed's stats before that game, like he didn't throw. I mean, he threw a lot of strikes. Like his strike ball rate wasn't like super. I can't remember what it was, but like I was like, whatever, you handle that. And we were doing fine for a while. Like, I mean, we should not have given up that many runs to the Cobras any day of the week. But then when I had to come in, I was like, we're fucked, pretty much. That was where I was going with that. I tried to hide it. I mean, I got away with it for, I think, probably an inning and a half, maybe. And then other than I knew I was going to be bad on the mound, and I was praying that Reed could get it done, and it just didn't happen. So
technically, you're not out of the playoffs yet,
dude. Okay, the Fog are not beating the Crew and the underdogs. Okay, it's not happening.
You never know.
It's just not happening.
What was the moment that it hit you that like, oh my gosh, this is an actual nightmare. Like, this is going to happen. That we're gonna.
I think the second I had to come in to pitch for Reed is when I realized like we were fucked. We were screwed. And then I sat there and I was just praying that Gage would have a bad game, and Gage didn't have a bad game. And I was like, there's no way we're going to beat the Bambina or the Bison if we don't pitch. Like, we have to give up less than, I told Reed, like, we need to give up less than like 5 runs if we want a shot at beating Gage.
But when you came in for Reed, you guys still had the lead against us, right? So that was still even though you had the lead, that was still the moment that like, this is going to happen. I'm not talking about like this might happen, like this is going to happen.
No, I had zero faith in my arm that day. Yeah, literally, like, I threw the ball and every time it just hurt my shoulder, and I was like, fuck.
But you came in and you got a strike right away, like right off.
I know, dude. I threw one pitch and hit the board, and I was like, all right, that hurt like a bitch, but I'm not going to say anything. And I just kept trying hit the board, and I couldn't fucking hit it. So,
what's the biggest lesson you learned in this? What, your second or third season? Second or third season?
Well, okay, so this is my second full season. I got technically my third because I played one game.
What was the biggest thing you learned in JL 25 that you can apply to the Waves JL 26 season?
I definitely think I overworked myself this year. I'll be honest. Like me and Reed we threw a lot.
Like too many practice bullpens.
I honestly think next year, if we just take it easy and just have more fun with it and not be as serious, I think we'll actually play better than we thought. Because I mean, if you look at that game, like that first half of that Cobras game, like we were having fun and we were like dicking around and screwing off and we were winning. And then like when Blake started getting serious on the mound and we started getting serious, we started losing. So I don't know. I think
what's the biggest thing you've learned? So your season's not over yet, but like this is a big season for you because you obviously like went and took over an entire team as general manager, got to be an ace. Like the Lawmen are your team. Like, what's the biggest thing you've learned this year?
It's got to be loose with it. Can't really have too much expectations.
Wow, way to just steal my answer.
Change a lot. A lot of different variables going into stuff like the games. You don't know how you're going to pitch, so you got to be willing to give it up at a moment's notice.
Yeah, I mean, I like having Reed on the team, but like I do like to pitch and I want to throw more. It's a weird juggle when you have two people that are capable pitchers. Like it's a hard thing to balance because I know Reed feels the same way I do, where he wants to throw all the time, and like I get it because I'm the same way. But it's just hard to like kind of put your ego aside almost and just be like, "Yeah, you go for it." Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. Do you feel that way, Colton, with like Nick?
Yeah.
Colton, I got a question. And I'll stop asking questions. You guys can go back, but I got one more question.
I like it when you ask questions.
You guys won't be in if the Wrecking Crew beat the Bambinos and the Fog. They will be heavy favorites against the Fog. They'll be underdogs against Bambinos, but not extreme underdogs because it should be their first game of that day. So Chase will be fresh and all that.
Yep.
What's your nervous scale? Are you feeling good about it, or are you?
It's 50-50. Seeing the Bambinos lose to like the Lynx didn't help. So I was hoping they would beat the Lynx, and that would give me a little more confidence that they'll beat the Crew. But I know how Chase is. When he's on, he is on.
Well, but let me raise you this: the Bambinos usually shell him.
Yeah.
Even when he's on.
Here's the thing about that Bambinos game, though. Eric will be active for the game against the Lynx on Sunday. And then the Crew game will either be on Monday or Tuesday, and Eric will not be active for that. They'll still have Colton and Trey and Tyler, but not Eric. Does that give you more confidence or less? Like, I'm guessing it would give you less, right?
Yeah. Well, how many games has Colton played this year?
Well, it just
two.
I guess it also just depends on how.
I think all but like one or two. What I'm saying is though, like Eric wouldn't be like Eric if he pitched in that game would maybe like coming off just a day or two rest, so he may be a little sore. But whereas Colton would be fresh, but Colton's a way more like sporadic pitcher, I would say, than Eric. He's way more capable of giving up like a 15 to 20 game.
Right, but I mean, on the other end of that spectrum, he might throw a shutout.
That's true.
Yeah.
So it's like you're coin flipping pretty much what one you're going to get. But their lineup is going to produce.
But the thing too is, he made a good point. If they don't beat the Lynx on Sunday and the Lynx clinch number one and the Bambinos are locked into either second or third and Eric's gone for that game, like he will be, then Colton may not even pitch. They might just be like, yeah, Trey, go pitch because it doesn't matter. And then you're in big trouble.
Yep. Then all my hope relies on the Fog. And no offense to Jordan, but that's I'm not gonna put my
Well,
hopes
but
on
hold on. Do you see a world where they beat the Lynx, right? And then they dicked off against you guys and they lost? Do you think they do that? They might do that again?
No, because if they beat the Lynx, they still need to beat the Wrecking Crew to get
Yeah.
the number 1 seed.
Well, no. I'm just saying, like, when the last time Colton played the Wrecking Crew, they had just beaten the Lynx. And then they started screwing off in Colton's game against them because I feel like they just like underestimated Lawmen, and then Colton
This
shut
is
him down.
different though, because the Wrecking Crew need to win both. So they're gonna know once the fog, they have to win. I don't think they would tick off.
I mean, I'm not saying I don't think they're gonna have, even if they screwed off, I still think they're gonna beat the fog by a considerable amount.
Now, I actually think if the Wrecking Crew lose the first game to the Bambinos, Chase may be like, I'm not pitching the second game. We're already out anyway. And like, then whoever, Krister or Sean McFarland, because he'll be there, and or maybe Josh will just throw it and the fog will beat them just because of that. I could see that happening.
Yeah. Or Krister, right?
Yeah, or Krister, whoever. Just, I could definitely see Chase being like, we're out. Why am I going to throw another game?
Yeah, I mean, that could happen.
Yeah.
I mean, we were gonna do the same thing. Like, if we had beat the Cobras, Anthony was gonna pitch against Bison just to save our arms, but that obviously didn't happen. Wait, how much time we got on this thing? I can't see the time.
Hasn't told me a time limit yet. We're at like 25 minutes around there, I think.
We're cruising.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what do we think about MVP right now, Cale?
Question. I don't know. It's I mean, it's only a 3-horse race.
Alternate.
It was a 3.5-ish race with Gage in there like a couple weeks ago, but I think Gage is kind of not in the mix anymore.
Was that?
He was always a little behind of the other 3 on stats, and the last couple games he just didn't elevate enough to like get level with them. Like his biggest thing is pitching, obviously, right? And he's got a 11.22 ERA, but then the other 3, Eric's got a 5.88, Tegan's got a 6.29, and Blake's got a 6.47. So he's just he's got like almost double what they have in that category.
And
then batting, Gage's batting came down a little bit. I think the last couple games he finished with a 240 batting average, whereas Blake's is 370 and Eric's is 492 and Tegan's is 229. So he's only a little bit better than Tegan, but Tegan's pitching's way better. Tegan obviously has the couple no hitters. So like, I just don't think at this point Gage is going to get any votes.
Yeah, I think Gage kind of wasted his MVP opportunity when he gave up 20 runs to the fog twice. I think that game really hurt his stats against a team he should have probably no hit shutout.
And I think like Gage at this point is probably the clear number 4. It's just that we're at a point now where it's like there's only 3 left really that have a legit shot to win. And I don't know. What do you guys think?
It's weird. I don't know. I mean, I do think partially Blake is still in the running because he left and his team lost to one of the worst teams in the NC. And then because I feel like if Blake's there, they win that game. And I can see the argument for all 3 guys. Like I'm interested to see how people vote.
There's something that's like hurting each one.
Mm-hmm.
What's hurting Blake is that he had the least amount of quality opponents. And he missed a game. What's hurting Tegan is that he has the worst batting average.
Stats, yeah.
By far, he has the worst batting average of the 3. And what's hurting Eric is he has the best ERA by a point. He's in the 5s, the other two are in the 6, but Eric has only pitched
a couple games, right? 4.
Where's that? He's only pitched in 4 games.
I just guessed that.
Yeah.
So.
Now he'll probably, I'm guessing, finish having pitched 5 games, but the other 2 will have finished with 8 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to weigh that in.
Yep.
Yeah, it's gonna be close. But
I think,
sure.
and then you have to think about this too. Like, Blake has the least amount of room to gain because his last game is against the Fog. Not a quality opponent. Even if he boosts his stats a little bit, it doesn't change the fact that he did it against a quality opponent. Teagan, I think, has the most to gain because he can say that he swept the Bambinos.
Yeah, he's basically making Gage's argument better.
And he can still move his average up to catch up a little bit. I don't know if that's going to happen against Bambinos, but it's possible.
So let me put it this way. Do you think the winner of that next Bambinos Lynx game determines who gets the MVP?
No, because you still have Blake out there who could throw like a no-hitter shutout against the Fog, and I know it would just be the Fog, but like a no-hitter shutout's a no-hitter shutout, or even just a shutout.
But Teagan's got 2 of them already.
And increase his batting average into the 400s. So I don't know. I think if Teagan beats the Bambinos with another solid pitching, now it doesn't have to be a shutout or anything, but just beats them again with another single-digit game and gets maybe a hit or 2 in that game, I feel like he might win it at that point.
Yeah, I don't see an argument against him at that point because he shut down the best team in the whole entire league twice.
Yeah, I think
and also he'd be 7-1, right?
Yeah, I think where it would get really complicated is if Eric comes out and threw like a shutout.
Mm-hmm.
And then he would have by far the best pitching numbers with the best batting numbers, but he didn't pitch in every game. And he also has Colton there helping him, and Tyler. He has the best supporting cast.
So with the way voting is, do you think who you're friends with in this league also kind of has something to do with it?
No,
do you think there's some voter bias in the JL or no?
Well, there might be on an individual basis, but you know how the voting works. Each team gets a guy, so it's not like a popular vote.
No, but I don't know. Teagan and Eric have been in the league a really long time. And Blake, this is Blake's 2nd year, so I don't know. You think people might be more inclined to just lean towards Eric and Teagan because they know them?
I don't think it would go like that actually, because Chase in JL 23, Chase Johnson won MVP when he was on the Fog in his 2nd season, and he beat out Matt Morton by 1 vote for MVP, and Matt Morton had been in the league for like 10 years and everybody knew Matt. So
but Chase is also your nephew.
Chase is also related.
Chase is related to you guys.
No, he's not.
He's not?
No, he's related to Josh Burkhart somehow, but he's not related to me.
Chase lied to me. He told me he was.
Yeah.
Dude, what a liar. Oh my God.
I have no relation to Chase Johnson.
Yeah, that's actually so weird.
Oh.
I thought that was the thing this whole time because he's like, oh yeah, my uncle runs the league, and I was like, oh, so your uncle's Cale, and he goes, yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck?
It's very weird that he would say that. We're not related.
Josh definitely does not run the league.
No.
Now I feel like an idiot. Okay, well I guess that takes the wind out of my argument there. Oh, I can see the time now. Okay, we got 8 minutes left. Cale, you guys are out now, right?
Sadly, we're out. Yep.
Okay, so it's pretty much NC is going to be U-Dogs, Bison, Rapids, right? As long as the Fog lose one game. And then
it's very likely you're going to have 2 7-1 NC teams, and then the Rapids at 3-5.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Okay,
and
well,
what's crazy? I wouldn't rule out the Rapids beating the Bison in a one-off playoff game. Gage has a bad day.
It wasn't like their doubleheader. That was pretty close too, right?
Yeah, they're both first
one game was very close. The next game, Gage
first game the Bison had beat them on a walk-off, and the second game the Bison won handily, but it was like 10-1. So really, that's like kind of an exaggerated one, because if you only score 10 in the JL, you never really win comfortably, I would say.
So, well, I guess on that side, if the Rapids do beat the Bison in that game, do you think there's any remote chance they beat the underdogs?
Of course there is, because Blake's never pitched in a playoff game.
Yeah,
it's a good point. But do you think Jared's arm can hold up for that second game?
It can maybe hold up enough to be pretty competitive. Where that scenario would be horrible is if the Rapids somehow pulled that upset and then had to play whatever AC team with Jared on his third game. That cup would be worse.
It'd be a repeat.
Yeah. Okay, but to be honest though, I feel like the fact that they have just made it there in and of itself is a win for them that season, when they left their last game day saying, all right, good season, boys, we'll see you later. And then suddenly they're in the championship. That I feel like you consider that a win.
Yeah.
I know they would.
I mean, they're not going to make the championship game. What are you talking about? They're just happy. They're just happy to be there on playoff day and be part of the festivities.
Well, I don't. Do you want to?
Are you gonna come be part of the festivities, Brodey, and just be a fan?
Dude, I was honestly thinking about like buying like a tuxedo T-shirt and like standing on the ladder and being the announcer for the games. I thought that was
please do that. Please.
But you got to wear an astronaut helmet while you do it.
Do you have an astronaut helmet?
I don't, but we could probably find one.
Get some alien ears or something.
That actually, what day is the playoffs on?
Probably August 4th.
I'll probably be here. Yeah, I probably will be there. I don't know. I think it'd be kind of funny to like talk shit to people like during the All-Star game. And just sit there and heckle everyone.
That's such a Waves thing to say.
Well, but like the All-Star, no one takes the All-Star game seriously, so it just add that like more funny factor to it. Just
hey, like, maybe you'll be in the All-Star game still, maybe, right?
I don't think so.
Well, let me look
on the NC side. Who else would be there? You could be there as a better
with a 237 value. You're not making the All-Star game.
Exactly. I could be the fielder, but my fielding percentage isn't that good either.
Your ERA was a 16.67. What was it last year?
Way higher than that. I'll tell you that. My ERA would have been almost like 12 if I hadn't laid an egg.
You know, I kind of wonder this. This just popped in my mind. The whole year, it seemed like the outstanding manager race was kind of like a weird award race, because it didn't really seem like anyone had like a lot of distance. There weren't even really that many and then all of a sudden, like down the stretch, now it seems like it could be a tough decision, because you've got Gage.
I think it's gotta be Gage or Colton.
Yeah. Gage, Colton. If the Cobras would have actually made the playoffs, I feel like I would have definitely been in the mix. Who am I missing? Oh, I mean, the Lynx, you could say maybe Cameron with the Lynx. Because I mean, think about it. They lost Josh Burkhart and replaced him with McKinley and Allen. And
but I mean, it's
Well,
like
they just kind of swap teams.
It's almost like the Wrecking Crew is just wearing the Lynx jerseys now. So I don't know. I think that. I mean, I guess he did get himself Tegan, and Tegan's gone. That's this year, so I can see that. But I mean, I think it's a toss up between Colton and Gage right now. Just I think we were all doubtful about Gage's supporting cast this year, and they showed up big time for him. And then Colton dragged the undead Lawmen back to life and gave them playoff hope. So I don't know. I guess we'll see how people know that too.
Well, let me give you one more though. What about if the Wrecking Crew win both their last 2 games, finish 5-3, they're in the playoffs comfortably with a win over the Bambinos and a win over the Lynx this season? Then would you look at Brandon Viali and be like, well, what about this guy? I mean, look at these results.
Yeah, but so let me
Or do you feel like there was just such a stench around that team all year about
do you feel like if they make the playoffs that way, do you really feel like they met expectations?
Well, I mean, you just look at the resume and you'd be like, geez, they beat the Bambinos this season, they beat the Lynx. Their only losses were to the Bambinos, the Lynx, and the Lawmen. They got upset one time, but that's a playoff team, maybe. I don't think it would look that bad. And you'd have to consider what Viali basically did is he just brought in an entire new team. So there's work in that. You'd be like, well, look what he did. It's not like, I mean, he did that from scratch.
Let me put it this way. Do you give it to Brandon or do you give it to Chase? Because I feel like Brandon went and got Chase and then Chase got the rest of his team.
I mean, that's a good point. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying it'd be hard to like look at that and still be just like, no.
Yeah. All right.
Well, now, but they are also on the cusp of if there was a most disappointing manager or disappointing team of the season, that would.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got less than a minute on our poverty podcast and no Cam. I am not paying for Zoom Premium, so suck it. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys later.